nice article in the Managing Madrid blog. Wonderful lads that do a great job there. And worth reading about that man there. Karim Benzema needs to rest, and the numbers reveal why.
Times ended up almost looking like a 6-3-1. Some very good writing about that on the Managing Madrid website. First-rate podcast as well. Of course, Valverde was a huge part of the equation.
Welcome to the Managing Madrid Podcast. Tonight it's just me. It's a solo podcast, just Matt Wiltse. I'm happy to be here. We've got some folks in the comments here. Hopefully you guys can be interactive with me, get some feedback so I'm not just talking into the ether here. Well, a great 2-1 win. 2-1 win. Maybe not great, it's not the right word, but we get the job done. 2 goals from Kylian Mbappe. The team looked exhausted. All game long, they looked exhausted. You saw Mbappe and Bellingham, when the game finished, the final whistle blew, you saw them down on their knees, holding their knees. They just looked dead. Bellingham, honestly, from minute 1 to minute 90, looked just done. I was really surprised he played the full 90 minutes. But I think before we get into a lot about the performances today, a lot of the themes from the game, some of the things we can take away, I think it all has to be remembered within the context of this is a place we haven't won in 7 years. We just played a Champions League knockout round on Wednesday that went into extra time, that went to penalties, was extremely demanding, and took everything out of our players, and we're playing on a Saturday. So putting that all into context, and you obviously, Vini's rested, Rudiger's rested, rightly so. I thought more players should have been rested ahead of this one. I was surprised to see as many starters as we did. And we grinded it out. We grinded it out in this one. As soon as Villarreal scored, they scored within the opening 10 minutes. And you think to yourself, oh, man, given our recent away record in La Liga, given our recent run of results, is this where we throw in the towel? Like, we just don't have enough in us to be able to turn the tide here. Like I said, it's a place we haven't won in a very long time. You kind of had those thoughts going through your head. But fortunately for us, I think it was early enough in the game that it was a wake-up call, because those first 10 minutes, Madrid were nowhere to be seen. Villarreal were really playing. And so we just had to wake up. We had to find a way back into the game, and we gradually did. I wouldn't say this team was incredible today, by no means. It was, the second half was really tough to watch at points, but we got it. We got it done, and we got it done courtesy of Kylian Mbappe. 2 goals today, 2 big moments. And when those goals went in, I kind of thought to myself, are we too harsh on Mbappe? I throw myself in this camp. Am I too harsh on Kylian Mbappe? Because this is a guy who has scored over 30 goals by March. And Cristiano and Messi have kind of warped our brains. And I don't know if I came in with too high of expectations for Mbappe, because it's hard to really criticize a guy. Even against Atletico on Wednesday, he had that one moment that could have turned the tide, winning the penalty. He's playing out of position. He's playing his first year with a new team, new league, new culture, new everything. And he scored 30 goals by March. So maybe I'm one of those people. I throw myself into this camp who's too harsh on Mbappe. He's done everything that we could expect. Maybe we expect more in terms of just impact from open play. That, at least from my perspective, that's what I expected more. But in terms of converting chances and scoring goals, he's done pretty well. I think it's hard to criticize him. So, and in both the goals today, I would say particularly the one where Brahim, he has a little interchange with Brahim. Brahim tries to chip it over the goalkeeper. Goalkeeper saves it. The ball falls to Mbappe inside the box. Now that looks like, for you, me, for the casual fan, like that looks like an easy put away. Just rip it into the back of the net. But there were 4 or 5 defenders in front of him. Those aren't necessarily easy chances, but Mbappe makes it look easy. He makes it look really, really easy, puts it away, and that's what you expect from him. Like when he got that ball, you knew it was a goal. And even on the second goal, which was a little bit further out, I think it was just at the top of the box, you knew if he had enough time to set his feet up, he was going to score that, and he did. So huge from Mbappe, 2 big moments. And I actually tweeted during the game, there was a tweet from Joaquin Morato. He runs Diario AS with Alfredo Olano, and I agreed with his tweet. Basically, what he put out there was, we see Kylian Mbappe much more active, much more involved when Vini isn't playing, because the team, Rodrigo, Brahim, others, they're connecting. They're doing quick combination plays, 1-2s. And you see it a lot. You see the kind of the movement and the quick combinations. And his tweet went on to say, does that mean you take Vini out of the team? No, of course not. But what it means is either Vini needs to see it himself, or somebody needs to sit with Vini and just say, like, hey, start implementing more of these combination plays into your game. I think too much of this season, it's been Vini gets the ball on the left, pushes it past the defender, puts his head down and runs as fast as he can, gets to the byline, and then maybe gets something in there. Rather than, and this is something we've seen from Vini in the past with Benzema and with Bellingham when he was playing more of a false 9 role, is he can connect and he can combine. And so hopefully he can kind of integrate more of that into his game. And I think you will see it activate Mbappe more, and it activates everyone. I mean, the team, the period of games when Vini was out through suspension, and we had Rodrigo on the left, we had Bellingham in the middle, and Brahim playing on the right most often. Again, you did notice that. You did notice the quicker combination plays. You did notice Mbappe was more active. I think Mbappe's best games probably have been, aside from the City game, have been when Vini wasn't present. And I do believe they can get this right. I do believe that they'll eventually work it out. But I think this one's on Vini more so than Mbappe in terms of figuring out how to get the chemistry right, figuring out how to pick and choose his moments appropriately, pick and choose the right time to play the quick 1-2 or actually take your man on. So I think that's something to watch, and I found it to be an interesting point. I'll bounce around. I have some notes written down, scattered around. I'm going to bounce around. And may not necessarily be with the overall game state flow, but just some things I saw in this game. Juan Foyth. Let's talk about him. Villarreal's right back, captain on the night. He's always been a guy that's given us problems. I actually really like him as a player, as much as he was a dick tonight. I really like him as a player. He's a great player. I think he recently came back from an ACL injury. That's why we haven't seen him for a year or so. And I mean, he got in it with Bellingham. He got in it. He defended really well against Vini. All except one moment. He defended really well against Vini in this match. Defended well against Rodrigo. He was a nuisance. He obviously scored the goal, the opening goal, which, by the way, what was going on with our marking there was, I think it was Lucas Vazquez who was supposed to be marking Juan Foyth during that play. But even Tchouaméni and Camavinga looked like they were kind of in wrong positions. I don't know if we were putting together a zonal mark, which I'm never in favor of. I feel like zonal marking never works. So yeah, either way, I did want to call out Juan Foyth. I thought he had a great game for Villarreal. I thought he was a pest for us. Like he got under our skin, but he's a great player. I think we can all admit that. Yeah, Anthony Tharp here in the comments makes a good point. Like, it's rinse and repeat in terms of set piece defending, and that is something where Arsenal have a huge advantage. That's what they've been known for all season, is their set pieces and their overall height. They have a ton of tall guys. With Tchouaméni out in the first leg, we're going to be struggling for an aerial presence. And yeah, Andres as well saying Arteta licking his chops, looking at how we defend set pieces. 100% agree. Like, I think that's a major concern. And particularly, I don't think there's any way we can have both Lucas Vazquez and Fran Garcia start that Arsenal game just from the perspective. Forget the drop in quality, just from the perspective of height alone. So yeah, that is. I'm sure that's a concern for Carlo. He's mentioned our aerial presence and lack of aerial presence when Tchouaméni doesn't play. Either I think it was earlier this season or last season. And so I'm sure he'll be aware of it. I'm sure everybody, the pundits will point it out. Like, it's going to be a talking point heading into that Arsenal game and something that we will need to be focused on. Now back to the Villarreal game. A little, I guess this all goes in kind of one bucket here, but I mentioned I was surprised by Carlo's overall starting 11. I was also surprised by substitutions. One, that the substitutions, I mean, they were after the hour mark. I thought it might have been a little bit earlier, again, given the midweek exhaustion. And I was surprised at who he put on. It was Vini and Rudiger were the first to come on, guys that likely were already very tired, but I guess they had 30 minutes in them. And to be fair, Rudiger was fantastic. He was huge for us at the back for those last 30 minutes. We needed his aerial presence. We needed everything he gave us back there. So I do think he was, it wasn't like it was a downgrade, and you got to give Asensio some rest. He was another guy that took a lot of bumps and bruises after the Atleti game. And I was actually surprised not to see Alaba out there today. I wonder if they're worried about Alaba, or maybe they're just being extra cautious, but you would think this would be one of those games where you continue to integrate him, give him another start. I thought actually his last game where he started was, I thought he did great. And so was a little surprised by that. And then, yeah, I was surprised Brahim came off, because Brahim was a substitute in the Atleti game, probably had the freshest legs amongst the front three. Again, Bellingham looked dead to me, dead. Not to say he didn't have a good game, but he just looked exhausted. And so just more or less confused by the substitutions. I wouldn't say they were all terrible. But I think you could question kind of what Carlo was thinking from that perspective. I do, since we're on the topic of substitutions, I do want to talk about Arda Guler. So again, this is not, the kid's 19, maybe 20 now. He's second season, kind of getting that sophomore slump. Hasn't had a good run, like hasn't had any continuity whatsoever. I think it's clear, like the confidence that he played with last season, just unbelievable. I think it was against Villarreal last year where he came in for the last 2 minutes and he saw the goalkeeper off his line from halfway out and hit the crossbar. So this is, you take that performance versus today's performance, and all you can see is, hey, it's a kid devoid of confidence right now. He's devoid of confidence, and maybe wasn't the best context, like game state, to be playing him. He's a kid and a guy that is going to take risks with his passing, going to take risks with his decision making. And I think the risk reward was far too lopsided in his cameo. Like the time he chose to shoot when he got the ball off a Vini cross, and you saw both Bellingham and Mbappe just irate. Mbappe, that was the angriest I've ever seen Mbappe after not receiving a pass, because Arda obviously chose to shoot and his shot went way off. I think it deflected off a defender, but wasn't the right choice there. And then he had a couple passes in the final third in transition, which that didn't come off and led to very, very dangerous Villarreal counterattacks. And I mean, the ESPN commentator team called it out. Like, it was obvious that Arda Guler made the wrong choice there, and Madrid were nearly punished. And so, look, what I said on Twitter was this cameo did him no favors. And let's be honest, that's the truth. I don't think Ancelotti is going to be rushing to give him more minutes after this. Now, we can also all provide the context that he hasn't, like, maybe this isn't the most fair situation for him. He's just lacking confidence. He doesn't have the minutes. He just needs to iron things out, and the talent's still there. And yes, I agree with all that. And one, I do not doubt Arda Guler's talent. And Arda Guler's time is not now. It's not last season. It's not this season. It's probably not even next season. So if he's willing to be patient for another 3 years or so, 2-3 years, then maybe he can become whether it's a member of the starting 11, I don't know, but a member of like a rotational piece like Brahim. I think he could eventually become that. And so I think he has to decide if that's what he wants and if he's patient enough to wait for that, because that's the reality of his situation and where he is right now. He's not ahead of all these other players. And I think right now, based on merit and form, Endrick is ahead of him in the pecking order, and rightly so. And so, yeah, it's a little bit of a shame and a little bit of a damper, just given how much we saw from him last season and just what a spark he was. And it felt like every single time he played, he was special. Like we just kept saying to ourselves, oh man, we have a special talent here. We have a special talent here. And every single chance he got, he finished. It was one-touch finishes. It was clinical. It was making the right passes. And this year, it's just the complete opposite of that. And so maybe he's somewhere in the middle, and maybe that's his kind of true level, is somewhere in the middle. And if it is somewhere in the middle, I don't know that unless he takes a massive leap physically or finds a way to play deeper into midfield, that will have a spot for him. Because that's my concerns with him is where he settles finally in his game, because I don't know that it's the right wing. I've long said that. I think he's more, honestly, I think he's more exactly like the position Odegaard plays for Arsenal. I think that's where Arda Guler ends up. Is kind of like a slightly more advanced number 8, but he's got to develop physically, and he's got to just round out many parts of his game. And so we'll see. I mean, time will tell if that all comes to fruition, but today was not a good cameo. It's got to be said. And I don't think Carlo's going to be itching to give him many more minutes after this. All right. Continuing to go through some notes here. Handball, the handball situation. So I put out on Twitter again that I was like, I don't even know the rule anymore, because I don't. Apparently people were telling me in my comments that it wasn't a handball, and then somebody else posted that, and that's a clear stating of the rule, and then somebody else posted just the same type of situation in La Liga like a week ago, and the goalkeeper was given a red card. So I have no idea. The handball rule I feel like has changed, and so genuinely I don't know what is the right answer here, but to me that looked like a clear handball. It looked like a clear handball. I thought it was a penalty. They don't even review it, which is nothing new for us. We're very used to that. And so, yeah, I guess that's all that can be said there. If I hope for next season at the very least, like they just give clear guidelines and stick to it on what the handball is, because it feels like nobody really knows. Okay, last topic I have in my notes, and then we can take some more comments from you guys and some super chats. So Vini, I want to go back to Vinicius's introduction into the field, his gameplay as a substitute for final 30 minutes or so. Again, it kind of goes back to my other point. Like, the combination play wasn't there between him and Kylian. And I actually think they tried, but the execution was way off. There was one moment where in the 84th minute, we had a brilliant transition moment. Kylian does like a little back flick to Vini. They break. Vini breaks. It's like a 2v2. And Vini's got plenty of space in front of him. And he picks the wrong pass. He doesn't. I actually thought he was going to try his like outside of the boot, but he plays the pass too early, and he plays it behind Mbappe, and Villarreal just easily intercepted. And I feel like that kind of epitomized the duo right now. Like they're just lacking that execution. They're lacking that killer pass, that killer touch, like the ruthlessness that we've seen from top level forwards and combination plays. Like it seems like, and particularly for Vini this season, I feel like he can get away with having countless poor passes, countless like head down runs, and not playing. Yeah, somebody in the comments is saying Vini's IQ is poor, and I feel like it's more this season than previous seasons. Like I feel like in previous seasons he had matured, had started making the right decisions, had really become that Ballon d'Or level talent and the best player in the world without a doubt in our minds. And this season it feels like he's regressed a little bit. And again, that could be down to the chemistry here, but they're just I'll say it again, the execution, the killer pass, like that's what we need to see more of. That's where we need. And so hopefully this clicks. Like I feel like we've been saying this all year. I said it on the last podcast with Keon. We were talking about it. Like hopefully this clicks this year. Like there's no guarantee it clicks this season. No guarantee it clicks even heading into next season. But the sooner the better. Like I think it will eventually click, but it's just about kind of getting it together here. Let me see if there's any other notes I want to talk about before we kind of dive deep, take notes from you guys here and the super chats and just the comments in general. All right, let's take this one from Ural Desai. He says, Vini is starting to annoy me at this point. Bad decision-making, not enough energy, great results still. We look knackered and hopefully get some rest in the international break. Yeah, so 100% agree, Ural. And I think we talked about this. So don't want to kind of rehash the point too much, but it's at this point, I think this win was a crucial win heading into the international break. Like, let's pray Atleti can do something tomorrow, or at the very least, they get a draw. Given how knackered we look, I can't even imagine how Atleti look. And Barcelona had, obviously, through the misfortune of their doctor passing away, did not play on the previous weekend. So they will very likely be much more rested than Atleti. So we'll see. I think the only thing going in our favor is that this game's at the Metropolitano. Atleti in that atmosphere can be pretty formidable in that type of atmosphere and with their stadium. And so we'll see. We gotta hope for something there. That's all I got, guys. Unless there's anything else, I'll scan the comments here for anything else you guys want me to touch on, anything I missed. Let's see here. Maybe Fran Garcia. I see someone mentioned Fran Garcia with a solid performance. I agree. I think he was solid today. I again still think we really struggle with. It's going to be hard to win top level games with Lucas Vazquez and Fran Garcia as your two fullbacks. There's no doubting that. But Fran is going to have to step up. There's little choice here. I think he's basically a shoot-in starter for the Arsenal game. I don't believe Mendy will be back by then. So we're going to have to go with Fran in that game, and that's going to be his biggest test to date, without a doubt. And that Arsenal game at the Emirates, playing in that type of atmosphere, playing in a Champions League quarterfinal, like this may be kind of his do or die moment as a Real Madrid player. Like this may decide what Real Madrid ultimately think to do with him at the end of the season, depending on his performance in that game. So we'll see. Nemirium in the comments saying he had a great start to 2024, has cooled off a little bit in 2025. I agree. I think that's fair. Hopefully he's going to get some continuity now. So, sorry. And you were talking, Nemirium was talking about Vini, so not Fran Garcia, but I think that goes for Fran Garcia, honestly. And so hopefully this continuity kind of gives him what he needs to keep going here. Let's see. One more super chat here at the buzzer. Give me a second. All right. Sorry about that, folks. Hopefully, I want to take this last super chat. I don't know what happened. My Wi-Fi has been terrible lately. But Jashil says, how can you expect development on Guler with no playing time? To develop, you need game time. My only pushback there is, what do you say to Raul Asensio? I've made this point before on the pod. What do you say to Raul Asensio? He didn't have any game time. He was thrown into the fire. He didn't have any continuity. He was taken in and out of the lineup. He wasn't given any confidence by Carlo. He just had to basically break down the door. He didn't have to just bang on the door. He broke down the door, kicked it down, and made a name for himself. So, yes, I agree that continuity and playing helps, but you got to make the most of your minutes while you get them. And you can't have you gotta be ready. And Guler last season, he had less minutes than he did tonight and always showed something off. So I agree. Like I said earlier, it's a confidence thing. I think there's a whole bunch of stuff going on, but he didn't do himself any favors. All right, guys. I think that's it. Apologize if we cut out there for 5 minutes or so. Hopefully that doesn't ruin the show. But a couple of questions coming in here at the end. So let me take these. One from Nemirian and Anthony kind of together here. Would I loan out Arda Guler next season? There's apparently interest from Inter. There's interest from Inter and Nico Pass as well. I struggle with the loan. Obviously, you guys all know, at least OG Managing Madrid listeners know, we did the loan tracker for years, and so many times the loans can go haywire. So I don't know. I think it really depends on where he goes. And I feel like for Arda Guler, he needs a team where the playing style fits. Because think about like the frustration we had watching Kubo so many times, where he went to a team where it wasn't like, it didn't accentuate his best qualities, and what a difference it made when he went to Real Sociedad, because they played a style that got the best out of him. But that level of team doesn't typically take loan players. They want somebody they can invest in long term. Or you get the problem that you got with Odegaard, is like they go on loan, they do well, and then they want to stay at the place they're at. So that's where I get a little concerned with the loans. And I just feel like Arda, I personally would just say, Arda, let's stay, just stay patient, and we'll stay with you. Who cares, says Matt. Who should we buy in the summer? A left back? Who? Trent, a controller. Who? And a backup striker who's good in the air like Koselu. Who? Okay, so I would buy a left back. Honestly, Alphonso Davies was probably what you would have been a great pickup given he was a free agent. I'd stick with Mendy, and I'd probably sell Fran and maybe just take the 8 million trigger on Miguel Gutierrez. I think that's where my head's at right now. And I know a lot of people aren't Ferland Mendy fans, but that's where I'm still a Ferland Mendy believer, despite his limitations in the attack. You see, even I think Jeremy Pino and a couple others came out today saying, like, man, we're fortunate Madrid's missing Ferland Mendy because he is one of the most difficult defenders to play against. Like he is, and I think the metrics don't measure some of the stuff he brings in terms of defensive solidity, and just he knows where to be at the right place at the right time, how strong he is, isolated 1v1 just outside the box. Like there are pieces of his game that I still think can be really valuable. If we do bring in Trent, I would be interested to see the dynamic with Fede Valverde, and assuming Fede plays hedged more to the right centrally, that would be an interesting dynamic because I think those two could get the best out of each other and you could complement each other really well. And then for a backup striker who's good in the air, I would love to sign someone like that, but I don't think they will ever play. I think you see how many minutes Mbappe gets in. Endrick, who scores a goal every 89 minutes, has less than 1,000 minutes this season. He's played less than Carvajal has, who got injured in November. So I just think I would personally be open, and if I was managing the team, would bring in a player like that. But it's how are you going to take out all your superstars and develop Endrick? Like it's just I don't think it's going to happen. Let's see. Timothy B says, I missed your super chat. Let me see. Where is it? We can't play out of the press, especially fullbacks. Yes, agreed. I think this has been something that's been an issue all season, to be honest with you. We're not a team. I think we all sometimes envision the 2016, 2017 team with Isco, Modric, Kroos, Marcelo combining on the left and getting out of any crazy situation you can imagine. Like no press could even touch them. And this is not that same team. We're not that same group of players. And we have struggled with the press on many occasions this season. And I think that's been think back to the Copa del Rey match against Real Sociedad. Yes, we won that match, but there were phases of that game where Sociedad put together a really good press and we struggled big time playing out of the back. And when you don't have a guy like Ceballos in there too, it can get ugly at times. So yeah, I agree with your sentiment, Timothy. Let's see what else here, guys, before we sign off. All right. Yeah, no, that looks like it. Hey, appreciate everyone tuning in, listening. Obviously, prefer to have another voice with me on here. Keon is with his family on a well-deserved vacation in Cuba, and apparently the internet's been going in and out. Power went in and out. He missed like large stretches of this match. Couldn't even get his laptop on. So, hey, appreciate everyone listening, and we'll be back to kind of normal service going forward. And as always, a la Madrid, and until next time. Thanks, guys.